They called it modern. They called it safe. They called it the future. In 1940, a bridge rose over American waters, strong, elegant, and trusted by everyone who crossed it. But from the very first day, something was wrong. The bridge didn't stand still. It moved, it breathed, it twisted in the wind. Engineers watched, drivers felt it, and the world ignored it. On one ordinary morning with no storm, no explosion, no warning, the bridge began to tear itself apart. Steel screamed, concrete cracked, and cameras kept rolling. What force could destroy a bridge without touching it? What mistake did no one see coming? And why is this collapse still studied? More than 80 years later. Stay with us for the next few minutes to discover how one silent design flaw changed engineering forever. In the early hours of a calm November morning in 1940, on the edge of Puget Sound in Washington state, a bridge stood quietly against the wind. It had only been open to traffic for 4 months. To the public, it looked modern, elegant, and strong. To engineers, it represented ambition, progress, and confidence in new design ideas. No one standing there that morning could have imagined that within hours, this bridge would collapse in one of the most famous engineering failures in history, an event that would permanently change how structures are designed around the world. The Tacoma Narrows Bridge was not built recklessly. It was built with optimism. During the 1930s, the United States was emerging from the Great Depression. Infrastructure projects were symbols of recovery and national confidence. The Tacoma Narrows, a narrow strait connecting the Kitsap Peninsula to the mainland, was a vital crossing point. For decades, residents relied on ferries that were slow, weather-dependent, and increasingly insufficient for growing traffic. A bridge was not just convenient, it was necessary. Plans for a bridge across the Narrows dated back to the late 19th century. But it wasn't until the 1930s that funding and political will aligned. The bridge was designed to be long and slender, stretching over 5,900 feet, with a main span of 2,800 feet. At the time, it was the third longest suspension bridge in the world. To reduce costs, engineers opted for a narrow roadway and shallow plate girders instead of the deeper trusses used in earlier bridges like the Golden Gate Bridge. From the very beginning, the bridge behaved strangely. Even before it opened to the public on July 1st, 1940, workers noticed that it moved dramatically in the wind. The deck would rise and fall in smooth, rolling waves, earning it the nickname Galloping Gertie. Drivers crossing the bridge felt as though they were riding over ocean swells rather than solid steel. While unsettling, these movements were not considered dangerous. At the time, engineers believed that flexibility was a strength, not a weakness. Wind-induced motion was not fully understood in 1940. Aerodynamics, as applied to large structures, was still a developing field. Engineers had experience designing bridges to withstand static loads, the weight of vehicles, the force of gravity. But wind was treated mostly as a lateral pressure, not as a dynamic force capable of interacting with a structure in complex ways. What no one yet realized was that the Tacoma Narrows Bridge was unintentionally designed in a way that allowed wind to feed energy into its motion. In the months following its opening, various attempts were made to control the bridge's movement. Engineers installed tie-down cables anchored to massive concrete blocks on shore. They added hydraulic buffers to dampen the oscillations. None of these solutions worked. The bridge continued to move, sometimes gently, sometimes violently, depending on wind conditions. Still, traffic flowed, and the bridge remained open. There was no precedent for closing a brand new suspension bridge due to wind-induced motion. On the morning of November 7, 1940, winds in the Tacoma Narrows reached about 40 miles per hour, Not a storm, not extreme weather, just a steady breeze. At around 7 a.m., the bridge began to oscillate vertically, just as it had many times before. But as the wind continued, the motion changed. Instead of moving up and down evenly, the deck began to twist. One side rose while the other fell, creating a dramatic torsional motion. This twisting was something entirely different. The bridge deck rotated back and forth, with a twisting angle of up to 45 degrees. The movement grew more violent with each passing minute. Concrete curbs cracked, steel cables groaned. The sound of metal under stress echoed across the Narrows. By mid-morning, it was clear that the bridge was in serious trouble. Traffic was stopped. One man, Leonard Coatsworth, attempted to drive across the bridge, but lost control of his car as the deck twisted beneath him. He abandoned the vehicle and crawled to safety on hands and knees. Tragically, his dog, trapped inside the car, did not survive. This was the only loss of life associated with the collapse, but it remains a haunting detail of that day. At approximately 10:30 a.m., the bridge reached its breaking point. A section of the roadway snapped, falling into the water below. One by one, massive steel segments tore free, twisting and plunging into Puget Sound. The collapse was not explosive or sudden. It was a slow, terrifying disintegration, captured on film by engineers who happened to be studying the bridge at the time. These images would later become some of the most famous footage ever recorded in engineering history. Within an hour, the central span of the Tacoma Narrows Bridge was gone. The economic loss was significant. The bridge had cost approximately $6.4 million to build, equivalent to over $120 million today. Beyond the financial cost, the collapse was a national embarrassment. Newspapers across the country ran headlines questioning the competence of modern engineering. How could a brand new bridge, designed by respected professionals, fail so dramatically under ordinary wind conditions? The answer would take years to fully understand. Initial explanations focused on resonance, the idea that the wind matched the bridge's natural frequency, psi, amplifying its motion. While resonance played a role, it was not the full story. Later research revealed that the true cause was a phenomenon known as aeroelastic flutter. Unlike resonance, which depends on matching frequencies, flutter occurs when aerodynamic forces continuously feed energy into a structure's motion, causing oscillations to grow uncontrollably. The bridge's solid plate girders acted like airfoils, similar to airplane wings. As wind flowed around them, it created alternating pressure zones that pushed and pulled the deck in a self-reinforcing cycle. Instead of dissipating energy, the bridge absorbed it. Once flutter began, there was no way to stop it. This realization marked a turning point in structural engineering. The Tacoma Narrows collapse forced engineers to acknowledge that wind was not just a load to be resisted, but a dynamic force that could interact with structures in complex and dangerous ways. Wind tunnel testing, once considered optional, became standard practice. Bridge decks were redesigned with open trusses, vents, and aerodynamic shaping to allow wind to pass through rather than build pressure. The lessons learned from Tacoma Narrows directly influenced the design of every major suspension bridge built since 1940. Engineers studying the failure developed new mathematical models to predict flutter. Entire fields of research emerged around aeroelasticity. What failed at Tacoma became the foundation for safer, more resilient structures worldwide. A new Tacoma Narrows Bridge was built in 1950, just upstream from the original site. This time, engineers applied everything they had learned. The deck was wider, the structure was stiffer. Aerodynamic stability was a central design requirement, not an afterthought. The bridge has stood safely for decades, enduring winds far stronger than those that destroyed its predecessor. Today, The original collapse is still taught in engineering classrooms around the world, not as a joke, not as a failure to mock, but as a reminder of humility. The bridge did not fall because engineers were careless. It fell because knowledge evolves, and nature often reveals its rules only after we make mistakes. The Tacoma Narrows Bridge collapse stands as proof that progress is not always a straight line. Sometimes it bends, sometimes it twists, and sometimes it falls, teaching lessons that shape the future in ways no one could have predicted. What happened in the Tacoma Narrows was not just the failure of steel and concrete. It was the moment engineers learned to truly listen to the wind. And that lesson still holds today.